Welcome everyone. It's good to see you. Today I'd like to talk a little bit about the power of attention and how we can feed things by paying attention to them and how we can use that to our advantage in our practice. So let's begin by looking a little bit at the quality of attention. Attention is a kind of a stretching out of your mind, of the natural resting mind towards an object. So that's probably also why this word is called attention. The root of this word goes back to Latin. And it means something like stretching towards. Like the word tendon, it's the same kind of root. It means attendare. Attendare means stretching towards something. So this kind of word really describes what attention is all about. When your mind moves out of itself, from its resting kind of state, stretching to an object. And whatever kind of object your mind is stretching to, that's what it will feed. It will nourish that. So let's say, for example, if you're stretching your mind out towards a positive thought, then you're nourishing, feeding that positive thought. You're stretching it to a positive belief system, then you're strengthening, feeding, nourishing that positive belief system. Same, of course, goes for negative stuff. You'll see also that what you consume frequently, in other words, that what you pay attention to frequently, like in media, watching news, the kind of content that you're interested in, and that's usually also what you get better at. It's what you become more informed, you learn more, you get to know more about it, you see the various perspectives about it, etc. Like if you, for example, the structure of Facebook, for example, is built on that kind of attention idea. It's all about attention. Attention is really the highest good, makes the whole thing work. If you were posting a picture and no one would pay attention to it, you wouldn't do it for long. It wouldn't make any sense, right? So we post our picture and then we allow the system to give us feedback so that we know that someone has paid attention to it, and we also know how that person paid attention to it. And we're also served only the content that we would subscribe to, that we pay attention to. There's other content out there, of course, which would contradict our views, our opinions, but we don't get that served for long because we would then unsubscribe, unfollow, kind of block it out, so we stay in this kind of bubble, it's an outgrowth of our attention. So it's all these things that we pay attention to, and we get better at them. Let's say you have a thought in your mind, an idea, such as the way I am is not good enough, which is obviously not true, but it might be one of those beliefs that we have learned to subscribe to. So I'm not good enough at what? Right? We can also ask that question just to sidetrack a little bit. If you feel that you're not good enough, which a lot of people surprisingly do, if you ask yourself, at what am I not good enough? That you will quickly see that there are so many things that everybody is not good enough at, that it just simply doesn't make sense stating that. I'm not good enough. So you could shift your attention, to come back, to ask yourself then, well, what am I good enough at then? And it might show you all these things that you could get better at. I'm not a big fan of saying that you are essentially good enough and you don't need to do anything. The way you are, your being is already good enough. That is true, but lots of people use that as an excuse to revert to laziness, to stop growing, to stop challenging themselves. You just believe, okay, instead of believing I'm good enough, I'm not good enough, I now believe that I am good enough. Both is inaccurate. There might be certain skills that you need to get better at that would serve you and others around you. So why not work on them? The Buddha, for example, used to say that he was never satisfied with his skill set. So we all know the Buddha is kind of a teacher that advocated for satisfaction and contentment and so forth, but he also said that he was never contented with his skills. And he also mentioned that as one of his main secrets of success, not being contented with his skill set. So there are things that we can get better at. And so now if you want to get better at something, then you need to know how you invest your attention, what you pay attention to. If you want to grow and you constantly pay attention to your shortcomings and nothing else, it will keep you from growing. Instead, then you will nourish and feed into your shortcomings and into maybe what is connected to looking at your shortcomings might be a feeling of self-pity. A lot of us, we like to indulge in those feelings, not because they're particularly pleasant, but simply because we're used to them. It's just like a habit. We like to eat sugar, not because it's particularly good for us, but just because we're used to it. We're addicted to it, we're habituated to eating it all the time, so we want more. And your attention is exactly the same way, it functions the same way. What do you usually pay attention to, you then habitually pay attention to. And as you habitually pay attention to, you habitually feed certain things in your life, and they grow and they become bigger. And then they manifest. They become expressions in the material world around you. Like you might be confronted with people that confirm you in your beliefs. You might be confronted with situations that confirm you in your beliefs. All that because you've consistently fed that particular type of belief. And that's really not only just poisonous in most cases, it's really dangerous. The power of an idea, once it is planted, is huge. The more you pay attention to it, the more you subscribe to it, the more it grows. And before you know it, you have yourself a fully blown belief system. And we don't question those things usually because there's way too many of them. And we're usually way too busy, or keeping ourselves way too busy, so that we might have time to look at those things. Like, how am I using my attention every day? So this is just a bit of a basic reflection on attention. And so you might use that principle to your advantage. Once you become conscious of the fact that it is like this, that you're feeding things with your attention, then you can use that to your benefit. Now, when you catch yourself complaining, for example, then that's a clear sign that what are you paying attention to and how are you paying attention to it? Does that serve you in any way? You could also ask yourself, what am I getting better at right now? Who am I becoming right now? Good questions to ask ourselves. Every time you complain, you think about yourself in a certain way, you get better at that. This is what you become. You're manifesting a personality. So look at your thought structures. How do you think of yourself habitually most of the time? Does that serve you? Do you want to get better at that? A lot of people will answer no. Once you become a bit more aware of your thoughts, and most people see that it's a predominantly negative thought world. Like where they constantly compare themselves to others, where they constantly judge themselves negatively, And they need to put up their guard so that others don't see their flaws, that they constantly perceive it in themselves. And this whole elaborate game comes up, where we have to portray our perfect life to the outside world, but inside we know we're kind of broken and we're unhappy. And so you're living in this constant sense of conflict with yourself. It creates a lot of tension, creates a lot of health problems with it and so forth. You can never really be yourself. Not only you have to pretend that everything's fine and everything's good and all that, and it's just due to the way you pay attention to things. That's all. It's an outgrowth of that. So once you know that, you can reverse it. And you can begin to make use of it properly. Now, I want to talk about this particular making use of the way you pay attention to things in meditation practice. Because a lot of people pay attention to, for example, I have so many thoughts. I'm so distracted. Gosh, I'm so distracted. Damn, I'm so distracted. So here's what you're getting better at then. The more you're paying attention to the fact that you're so distracted, my mind is so busy, it's so busy, oh my God, it's so busy. Every time you meditate, you confirm to yourself, like basically, I suck at meditation. You won't be doing that for long. Because it's just devoid of joy. It's devoid of feeling good. And maybe it's in your belief system that you have to flagellate or something, like whipping yourself and punishing yourself, and you use meditation to do that. Maybe a lot of people, surprisingly, use meditation to punish themselves. I'm not joking. This is serious stuff. It's such a sad thing, because meditation is not at all to punish yourself. Give yourself some rest, It's not to show you how distracted you are. It's not to show you just how bad of a person you are. Yes, it is to show you where you suffer, but not in order to dwell in that suffering, but to overcome it. It's like pointing out an illness, or, some people are being pointed out that they're ill or not living a good lifestyle, and many react to that with offense, taking offense. Instead of honestly seeing like, oh, is that actually true? Am I harming myself in that way? Could I change that? How could I change that? Where could I find help, etc.? And getting on track to a better life. In the same way, meditation might be taken as a somehow offensive activity, because it confronts yourself with the many ways in which you're unskillfully paying attention to things. It just simply shows you that. Which is good news, because if you wouldn't see it, you couldn't change it. The whole idea is to change it then. Make it better. And your feelings in meditation practice, they give you accurate feedback. If you're not feeling nice, happy, joyful, blissful, etc., you're not doing the right thing. That's simple. And so if you're confronted with sadness and you're unable to transform it, to use the energy and to transform it, you have to think, how could I approach this in a better way? Is the way I'm approaching my sadness actually furthering it? Is it nourishing it? Is it starving it? Is it transforming it? How do I deal with myself and all the various things that I experience? How am I dealing with myself? You have to pay attention to that. If not, if you're just simply practicing for the sake of practice, what's the point? You need to practice for the sake of success in practice. It's like training for the sake of training. Why? You need to train for the sake of success in training. Then the whole game will change. As then you will start to measure properly, what am I doing right now? Where should it lead me? Is it leading me there? Yes, keep going. No, change. It's really simple. Quite basic, really. It's the same, it's true for meditation. And attention, the way you pay attention gives rise to feeling. The way you feel is feedback. Do you feel releasing, opening, softening, finding space, feeling good, being energized, feeling vitality, etc.? Or is it the opposite? Contraction, fighting with yourself, trying to get rid of, not liking yourself, etc., etc.? Are you getting better at that kind of game? So here is an approach to meditation practice that uses that principle. Stage 1. Focus on the good feeling of breathing in, feeling your entire body, finding the feeling of feeling your whole body. Stop telling yourself that you can't. Simply feel your whole body. Just do it. All these ideas that you can't and it's difficult and oh, I'm just feeling my right hand but not my left hand. How am I able to feel both? Give up all that kind of thinking. Just feel your body. Close your eyes. How do you know that you have a body? There it is. Just that. So breathing in, paying attention to that. Breathing out, now you want to find the quality of softening and release in that. Once you've found it, concentrate on it. Throughout the entire out-breath, melting, 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 melting. Softening, 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 softening. Keep your mind on that. That particular quality. So then breathing in again, feeling, 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 feeling. Breathing out, softening, 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 softening. Pay attention only to that. Once you can find that on the level of feeling, concentrate on that feeling, concentrate on that frequency, and maintain it. When you pay attention to that frequency and you maintain it, it grows, becomes more powerful. And so within minutes you can feel ecstatic doing just that. Just finding that sweet spot, concentrating that. Any kind of thought that says you cannot concentrate, oh, I can't do it, it's so hard, I'm so distracted, all that, don't pay attention to it. Come back to feeling, 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 softening, softening, softening. Train yourself to stay there. Second stage, presence. Here you want to find the frequency or the feeling of presence. It's a very specific type of feeling. It's a bit more subtle than the previous one. Still, it's an experience, a feeling. How can you feel present? Once you feel present, concentrate on that. And as long as you're concentrating on it, it expands, it grows. If you like, you can breathe into that feeling. You breathe out, breathe it into your whole body. Keep breathing it even beyond your body. Let it spread, become more and more spacious. Enjoy. But you have to first find that specific feeling of being present. Here's where your practice comes in, and that's also where transmission comes in, that when you have a teacher, that teacher can point you to that feeling, he can show you that feeling, and he can transmit that feeling on the level of mind and the level of feeling as well. So that you're not kind of just walking around in the dark and trying to find your way. That's why these sessions are helpful, hopefully, for you in the way that they transmit that feeling of presence in many ways, not just verbally. There's a lot more happening. Okay? Well, that's, by the way, one of the reasons why a lot of people, when they do group meditation, they feel it's more easy. Because the teacher does a lot of work for them, they receive a transmission. Once you've received the transmission of that feeling, your job is to start owning it. You need to own it. If you don't practice, it will leave you again very fast. And then it will be really hard to come back to it again on your own. So the reason is you receive a transmission, you have that transmission, you bring it home, and then please own it. If you stay a student, something is wrong. If you forever stay the student and your teacher forever stays the teacher, transmission is not happening. The power differential is maintained, not good news. If a teacher doesn't produce teachers, but only always has students, you need to be careful. And I do encourage all of you to get out of this kind of role. Because you can simply get out of it by owning what you get here. And then you need to learn to embody it. Bring it into your being. Bring it into your body. Become this frequency. Until it's so natural that you don't even have to think about it to maintain it. Then you truly own it. That's really all it takes. You get a bit of an insight during a meditation class. There you received something important. Now focus on the feeling of that insight, let it grow. Don't intellectualize on it. It won't help you. It only makes noise. Instead, feel what you've touched upon. Concentrate on the feeling, let it grow. Let it fill you completely. Okay? Third stage, silence. Silent present moment awareness. Here you want to tune into the frequency of silence. Finding total silence within yourself. Not hard. You can do it right now. Just pay attention to yourself while you're listening to me. Your mind doesn't say a word. It's quietly listening. It's a quality of listening within yourself. On that quality of listening, find it, focus on it, breathe into it, breathe out, let it grow. Relax into it, let it grow more and more. Experience it stronger and stronger. Feed it with your attention. Fourth quality, focus. Concentrating on just one thing. That's a very specific frequency. You need to use a lot of willpower, but on the other hand, no aggression. It has to be soft willpower. You want to softly apply your will to the object, again and again, coming back to it, locking on and staying there. Developing these qualities, you have to pay attention to these qualities a lot and put them to use. So they grow, they become better. Your focus, your clarity of mind becomes better and better. The only thing you have to do is find the quality on the level of feeling, let it grow by paying attention to it, and become that quality. Embody it all the time. You're getting better and better at it. As long as you're believing that you can't do that, or you're too distracted to, or whatever it is, the unfortunate truth is that you're right. Your thoughts are always right. But maybe you're paying attention to the wrong thoughts. If a president has the wrong type of advisors, whole country goes down. If the president has good advisors, whole country is growing. It boils down to the advice that that person in power receives. What kind of people are around a person of power? In other words, how are you informed? By what are you informed? What do you pay attention to? So yeah, that's the power of attention. I hope that it makes sense and that it's something we can put into practice and cultivate and get better at. Now, are there any questions? Good? Everything clear? Wonderful. Thank you very much for coming today. Have a good week.